What draws me back to Antarctica as much as the scientific resources there is just the beauty and utter purity of the place and the effect it has on the community of scientists and their supporters there. It is really impossible to describe the feeling of landing in Antarctica, getting off of that LC-130, taking that first breath of freezing, clean, utterly germ-free air, being blinded by the beauty of whiteness that surrounds you. There really does seem to be very little bacteria in Antarctica. That's something I didn't think we would experience till heaven. Of course, except what you bring there with you. There are hardly any plants, nothing but ice and sky, and a few scattered places where land has managed to crawl out from under the ice. About 2% of the continent is discernible land. The rest is really ice. And more than just ice palace, too. If you believe in the Holy Spirit, I really think that Antarctica is where he goes for rest and relaxation when the burdens of this world get to be a little too much. I think I've seen him hanging out down there. People are drawn to Antarctica mostly for science, but once there, as Herzog will show, we form a very strange clan, bonded together by a search for truth in some sense, but it's a truth that's bound up with wackiness and beauty and strange humor. What is perhaps, to me, most striking about this community of people is the seeming absence of any real evil, at least the kinds that we're familiar with in our normal urban, daily, CNN-dominated, Fox News-dominated lives. And that somehow gives me hope, that a group of people bound together with a purpose to live in such a harsh frontier, setting aside our usual worldly commerce and creating a sanctuary for the search for knowledge and understanding, this really should give us all hope. Not that it makes us scientists any less nerdy. There's not much hope for us there, as Herzog will show you only too well. Many of you guys here are a lot younger than my generation, and you're going to have to live with the effects that I'm talking about far longer than we are. My generation has, for the most part, failed in our stewardship of this world, probably because, at least in part, we flunked out in the stewardship of many of the resources of our own lives. But I want to encourage you, you can choose differently. The first and most important resource that we all have is our integrity as people, something apparently lacking in some of our oil company management. We have very little control over most of our lives, but we alone, individually, have control over our personal integrity. You guys are the future leaders and the CEOs, the ones who will be in BP management's shoes for the coming generation. I would urge you to choose now to be a good steward of what you have and who you are, your integrity on an hourly and a daily basis. If we can do this, and those choices we make on a daily basis will then grow into a whole that I think is much bigger than its parts, and will extend to a faithful stewardship of this whole world. I don't really know, and I don't think anybody can pretend to know, whether the catastrophic events that we can foresee will play out in any way as we imagine them. They can be far worse. They may be inevitable. But if you take away anything tonight from Herzog's, it's really a wonderful film. If you take away anything from this, I hope it will be a real desire to go and see that place for yourself and do whatever should and must be done in our stewardship of a world that preserves Antarctica and the places like it for all of us to visit one day if we can. Let me finish by just reading the rest, or reading all of Robert Frost's brief poem, Fire and Ice, written in 1920. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if I had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to know that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Thanks for your time, and please enjoy the film. I will stay around to answer questions afterward. Thank you.